Hello, everyone. Good evening and welcome to another Time to Talk. I'm Rafael Caldas, a member of SSL, and this is Faye.
Hello, everyone.
Hi, Faye. How are you doing?
I'm fine, thank you. Nice to be here again. I think we're going to have a nice time talking.
Yes.
Yep.
Definitely. It is my pleasure to be here with you, Faye. And let's hope we can bring some interesting conversation and topics to our friends. If you stumbled upon us, who are we? What are we doing here? Why are we? Who, where, why, what? We are Time to Talk. So Time to Talk is a program where every couple of weeks we separate some time and we bring topics related to mediumship. The idea is that we have an open conversation. The idea is not to have this as a lecture format. We want people to join us and share with us their comments, their questions, their stories, so we can bring them up here and talk about it, to try to bring that idea and element of the natural occurrence that mediumship is. After all, mediumship is a natural phenomenon. And today our episode is episode 68. And before we go into our topic of today, let me just quickly shout out our broadcasters. I think first of all, SSL, the Spiritual Society of London. SSL is a study group that's dedicated to study and spreading the knowledge and the teachings of Spiritism. We have a few sessions in person and online. If you'd like to join any of these study sessions, just go check our page and like us so you don't miss out. SSL is associated to BUZZ. BUZZ is the British Union of Spiritist Societies. And BUZZ has been around for 30 years. It's like a federation trying to group and bring together the multiple spiritist groups that are present and exist here in the UK. And BUZZ also has a lot of information about all of the groups and different events and a lot of content they generate. So go check their website, go check their pages so you don't miss out on anything. And the third is Kardec Radio. Kardec Radio is also broadcasted, committed to bringing Spiritist teachings to all of us in English across the world. It's been around for many, many years now and have a lot of initiatives on them. So if you'd like to know more and stay tuned, go and like their page, follow them so you don't miss out on anything. All right. Today we bring a buzzword, I would say, to our topics. Because our episode today is the importance of resilience. And why do I say I bring a buzzword? Because resilience is a word that for the last, 10 years, it probably picks up a lot in terms of the use of it. Of course, it has been around for more than 10 years, but a lot of it has been associated to in the corporate world, in the psychological, mental health world. So it's a word that it became much more frequent in recent history, let's say.
Yeah.
But today we're bringing this to the world of mediumship. And as usual, Faye,
yes,
I'll go to you.
Yeah.
So the importance of resilience. What do you think of that? What is that? What is behind that topic when we are talking about mediumship?
Well, I think I'm going to start with a little definition and a spoiler, if I may. Well, when we talk about resilience, and that is a word that's is applied to everything and everything and everyone in different aspects and situations in life. But that's a word that comes as more related, originally related to physics. Yeah. And the resilience is in principle, is the ability, is the characteristic that a material may have to, after suffering stress, deformation, pressure, that material is able to return to its original shape. So whatever happens, it will bind, it will show the flexibility, but then it will return to its core, to its shape, to its identity. Yeah. And I like this very much, because when we talk about ourselves and talking about people, I think we can put resilience as the ability to withstand impact, to take a blow and feel strong again, and find a way to return to our focus, even as a medium. And in social terms, resilience, you can say that it applies, there's a type of emotional resilience, academic, social, and physical. And all of that applies perfectly to the point of view of mediumship. And finally, but I'm going to say more, we cannot talk about resilience alone without contrasting and making the link with persistence. Because one is a set of characteristics, and the other implies intention. Yeah? Up to you. That's over to you.
Very, very good, very good. I like that you actually brought resilience in the physical element of the definition, and the ability to go back or retake like the shape, or go back to the original characteristics of something from a physical perspective. And it's interesting, because when I think about the word resilience, for me, I don't know if that's the connotation that we get from the corporate world, is linked to growth.
Yes.
So it's
Exactly.
not just the adjustment is that it's not just be able to go back to know your state, but is there's a new I guess resistance, or new limit, or there's something that you add to as you come back to your state, there's something new that is added to that.
That's right. That's something. It's good that you say that, because this is something that I should have also added. There may be a misconception that when we talk about resilience, that it's something static and it's staying there and going back to the original form. Now, if we talk of development, of evolution, and if we assume that we are always evolving, at every step, we assume there is a posture, there's a position. there is a form of composure that at every step you carry all those values along. Yeah. But the resilience, in that sense, as I say, it would be the ability to keep whatever's being conquered, whatever's being learned, whatever is being as a whole set of qualities and characteristics that is moving on. But it's not just moving on by inertia, and that's when I say what the persistence would be. Okay, when one is resilient, there is an intention, there is a focus, and that is the strength that one learns to gather and develop, not to lose that focus and that objective. Now, the persistence is the drive to strive and get to the objective. So then it's what you're saying. It is dynamic. It's not well, I'll hold on to this rock and nothing's going to blow me away. Not quite.
I like that you are bringing some other buzzwords for me as you're describing. And you added persistence. And I think that is a good word that for me holds the key of what is the importance of resilience when we are talking about mediumship.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's probably a key word for that connection.
Yeah.
So let me ask another question, and that is, it's a wider question, right? And resilience associated, or the importance of resilience for mediumship.
Well,
what is it?
Yeah, I think it is. I think it's a vital ingredient. It's something that that makes everything, all the commitment and all the effort, all the interest together to make sense. Because a medium cannot think of one with the ability, and that ability is going to develop naturally more quickly or less, depending on the person's interest. So that in every aspect, it's almost like if you're doing some athletic training and first learn how to walk, and then you speed up a little bit, and then when you're able to gather some speed, you see that the aim is to gather more speed. Now, the difference between a fast pace and actually running will be in gathering strength, gathering knowledge, knowing how to control, to understand the mechanisms of the body or the mind, and put them to work without stumbling and falling all the time. When people are training to race, to run, they will stumble and fall a few times, but that cannot be the way to run.
Mm-hmm.
It's overcoming what makes one to lose the balance or lose the focus, to make that smooth transition into fast pacing and running. I like to use this as an image to compare. And with the mediums, I would say it's precisely the same. It's knowing oneself, gathering knowledge, studying, and then you say, Oh, there's so much to read, there's so much to study, so much to listen to. Yes, but without that information, you cannot put the mechanism to work at a faster pace. And why do I need to be faster? To be more efficient. And why do I need to be more efficient? To do my job.
Yep.
To do what I set myself to do.
Okay. Yeah.
Some commitment.
So you are starting to use some other words that I had already even written down. But before I make a comment, let me just check with people there online. Share with us, first of all, say hello, say your name, say you're from, but feel free to share with us when we talk about resilience, the importance of resilience in mediumship. What comes to your mind? What do you think about that? What do you think is the importance of resilience for mediumship? Faye, as you were talking, you used a few words, and I loved your parallel with running, training for running or learning to run, because on itself you have already an idea of training for something, wanting something, the idea of growing, developing, having a target, having an aim, having a goal to achieve.
Yeah.
And as you were explaining, you mentioned something that I set myself to do. So again, it comes that notion of what is the goal, what is the commitment. You even use the word commitment. That's the word that I put here, was the commitment.
Yeah.
And I think from that, from your explanation, it becomes very clear to me that when we are talking about a mediumship from a spiritist perspective, we always bring the element of responsibility. In fact, a couple of episodes ago, we talked about responsibility, right? And did something. We talk about responsibility, and we talk about the idea that if we have mediumship, if we have the ability to communicate, see, receive messages, etc., and if that is an ability that is innate to you and natural to you, and you should think about what is the purpose for me to have this ability? How can I use this to help others? How can I engage with activities that, first of all, I know are safe, secure, good in intention, around people who have a similar idea, direction, sense of responsibility, and so on. So I can put to use that ability. And we always say that then this responsibility of mediumship is to put your mediumship to work to help others.
Yeah.
So it starts, but the thing is, you need to have that drive in you. If maybe drive is not the right word, you need to have that as a goal. You need to have nobody but you needs to make the commitment, needs to want to do that, to find how and which group and which place and how we're going to use this, how to study and understand about it, where and when is it going to be used. So slowly you need to search and put your time, your energy, your commitment into directing that ability to work.
Right. I'm writing your words too.
Yeah.
Because in this, when you mentioned the responsibility and the work towards others, it brings me the thought that, like in everything in life, unless we choose, which I don't think is the case, to be completely oblivious and away from anything, I can't imagine that. But when we aim for anything we're set to do, there is a process in it. So if you want to make an omelette, you need to know how to make it and try it and make a few mistakes, but still you get the omelette for yourself. If you want to learn to play an instrument or art or anything to an expressive to a higher level, you need the resilience and you need the persistence to move on step by step, knowing that each step may be comfortable on one day, uncomfortable on the other. If you're learning to play an instrument, your fingers are going to hurt at some point, then they heal, and then they'll hurt again because the exercise is going to be more demanding, more challenging. But that's the course of the way things are meant to be if you want to be able to play a certain piece. Now, with mediumship, there is the ability, but the acceptance that the ability is there is a choice. It's not something where you do it or else. No, it's a choice, but it's a choice that involves being proficient and being efficient to help others. So we're talking of a two-way activity. So the medium, as the word says, is connecting, is the instrument, is connecting, as much as an interpreter is an instrument of connection and communication. I've worked as an interpreter, and that takes preparation, stamina. It takes studying, knowing what you're going to work with, knowing who you're going to talk to, knowing who your source is, and be ready and be ready in a way that you can handle or try to handle any question, anything that comes from the other side. So we can plan and prepare to a good level, because we're going to be dealing with things that we can't always prepare for. So we need to have the tools. Does it make sense?
Absolutely. I like the idea of learning a new instrument as well, that you drew a parallel, because that when you said, look, there will be days that your arm, your fingers, your back, something's going to hurt because you're spending hours in a position, or you were learning to do specific movements that you were not doing before. But if you stop, then you won't learn. And how are you going to get back to that? Only by practicing, getting over that, you get to the proficiency level.
Refresh and study.
The proficiency level. And it's funny because we have been participating in mediumship meetings now for quite a while. And the one thing that is common, especially when you are part of a group who have new mediums that are coming in and learning and developing their abilities still, the most common thing that you will hear from the ones that are still learning, still developing, is that similar questions. This week was different. I've never seen this way. Today was more clear to me, or I'm not sure if it's coming from me or coming from others, or for the first time this happened and I saw this and I saw that. So a lot of that comes, but those experiences, the ability to understand what is going on with you, how you are receiving the message and so on, that only happens if you come, you participate, you are committed. There is consistency in how you come. Look, of course, we have things that come up out of nowhere, and you might have to miss here and there, but the commitment is still there, right? And the opportunity to experience, develop it, lend yourself to service, that is always there. And without those moments, how are you going to be exposed to the opportunities and activities and experiences that will give you that development?
Yeah. When we first thought about this topic, a number of things came to mind. And one of them was, mediums, a good medium usually leads a tough life. And then I said, well, in what sense? Well, in every sense, because it's because in order to progress as a medium, the first thing we know that with all the work and all the studying and all the preparation and all the reflection, because it takes a lot of reflection, it takes a lot of humility to step back and listen and reflect, but at the same time feeling able to establish some bonds of trust. And that goes over or underneath all the other aspects of normal life, like any human being and most human beings. When you study and you work and you have your chores and family and all that goes with it. Just as for example, I'll go again to the example. Just as a musician who's very committed, but still has a whole life to look after, the whole thing to do, bills to pay, work to be done, money to be earned, and a house to clean, and all the chores and the family and all that. It is in the musician's cells, in its souls, in its thoughts. The music is there. So he will try to do whatever he can to get everything done and still be a musician. So he'll be a musician all the time. So if I'm cleaning windows, I'm still thinking of that notation. I'm still thinking of, you see, the underlying thing in that person's life is not the daily chores in the house, is where he wants to get as a musician. But he cannot help live everything else that there is to do. So does it make life tough? Yes. Because it's very difficult. Unless we're talking of someone who might have an army of helpers, of people around to clean every path, to shine every shoe. That doesn't happen. Normal people have to do the normal things that life requires as citizens of this planet. Now, being a medium permeates all that. And when we finally get to the point of saying, okay, now it's our time to practice, now it's our time to learn, it's ever so easy to think, no, I can't do it. It's too much. I don't understand it. I don't get it. I'll never progress. I'll never see anything. I'll never hear anything. There's always, I'll never do this. I can't do it. With the resilience will teach us to stop saying, I can't do it. And the question changes to, how could I do it? still want to get there. If I can't do it this way, is there another way? How can I get there? So it would be an ability to rise above all these hindrances, all these difficulties, to still remember where we want to get and what we need to do that. And very likely we will not do that alone.
It's funny, as you were talking about that, I just saw myself in that example, because it is very common for us to, be excited about something and committed and invested, and then you start to learn about something, but there's always that the initial phase that you might learn quickly, and everything is new and so on, but you reach that point where the effort that it might take to take that further might be much bigger than you were initially willing to do, but the frustration of just staying in that level, it might even make you give up on something, because the effort for doing the next step, the next leap in terms of that proficiency, let's say, I don't like to use that word for mediumship, but I think you know what I mean, is too large. And one thing that we know is we will always be put to test. And I like that you brought the example of there will be other things that will be also priorities in your life that will come on the way of your development. And it is almost as certain as death for all of us, is that you commit to something, you say, okay, I'm going to be able to do this, I'm going to be able to join this group on this time of the day or this week or this day of the week. And it's almost certain that everybody will start to experience issues for that day, for that time. There will start to appear a lot of inconveniences to keep you from going there, keep you from studying, keep you from participating, and so on. And that is when you are put to test in terms of the discipline and commitment that you have to that goal that you set yourself to do it.
Yeah.
And that's what it takes. It will take you to be strong in your convictions and say, no, this commitment comes first. Or if I can see that something is building up to keep me from that, I'm going to have to go around this, and I'm going to have to pause this or break this or delegate this or whatever it is, because the commitment is important, and the discipline is important, because it is only by insisting and showing up and being there and learning and being exposed that I am developing, growing, understanding my mediumship better.
Yeah.
And as a result, putting it to service.
Yeah. Another thing that I saw that I think goes towards what you're saying is that resilience cannot be really, especially in our topic, as a token of mediumship, without empathy. So resilience and empathy are connected in the sense that that connection, resilience and empathy, will produce will have a positive impact, not only on the medium, but on the other person this medium is listening to or is working with, to others. So that will be generating a flow of positive communication that leads to constant development. So if we remember that even if you go to a group with every intention to learn and develop and all that, but if we are afraid or forget the connection to others, connection with others, the growth will be hindered. It's not going to develop as it should. And the moment, simply because many times I say sometimes with my kids, so look, it's okay, and we need to be able to learn not only to offer help, but to ask for help. Because when we ask for help, we are probably getting the assistance that we need for things that we cannot solve on our own at that moment. But we're also giving someone else the opportunity to do something that this person wouldn't, perhaps, if they weren't asked, because they don't want to intrude. But everyone needs the opportunity to exercise helping and being helped. And we see it's very often, it's very common to hear, oh no, I'm ready to help. Very little asking. If we don't ask, how can we possibly know what it feels like receiving? Does it make sense?
Yeah, it does. And you were saying there was also something else came to my mind around resilience, that it goes, and it's something that I actually associate to your perspective usually when we are participating in like study groups, Faye. And you always bring this perspective, and it's something that I learned from you, which is resilience is, yes, the ability to stick to your commitment and overcome the challenges that will come, and etc. But it is also being nice to yourself, being kind to yourself, because resilience is also restarting, right? Imagine the commitment comes, your interest is there, but for whatever reason, you have to drop that priority, you have to drop that plan. You cannot make that moment, that group, it was all planned, but something happened that is just, I cannot. Unfortunately, I cannot prioritize this at the moment, and that moment that I had separated for that is gone.
Mm-hmm.
But then in 6 months' times, or in 3 months' times, in a year, then things change and I am able to do it again.
Yeah.
Restarting it is also important. If you try, if you make the movement, if you try, you have your commitment, the things change, plans change, lives change, and try to keep it, try to prioritize it, but it might not work. And it's okay, but don't let go. Think about, okay, maybe I'm gonna have to revisit this in some time, or maybe I'm gonna have to change the plan to go to a different moment, different group, different this, different that. Or maybe it's gonna be like, in 1 year time I'm gonna be able to come. Look, but don't leave it. I think be kind to understand and accept, but be resilient to restart when it makes sense, when it fits, when you decide again that it needs to be a priority for you.
Yeah. So in that case, would you say that emotional control, that when you exercise or when you strive for resilience, you need emotional control and emotional development?
I don't know if the emotional development allows you to be more resilient, or if you are resilient, therefore you enjoy your emotional control. I don't know which one comes first, but I feel like they're connected for sure. Because at the end, if you think about resilience, I associate resilience to dealing with frustration. Right? I personally associate that, okay, things got in the way, things didn't go as planned, things were harder than I expected, or I did not get what I wanted. So many different things that will come in your way that will frustrate you. I think that's the word. And then there's the ability to overcome that frustration and keep going. Keep going, not at any cost, but in a way that it doesn't let it stop you. It helps you to grow from that, adapt, adjust. In that sense.
So you're saying that in that case that with developing in that case in that way, when people learn not to be open, the medium learns not to be too phased by frustration, too affected by frustration, and this means that this person is developing self-confidence as a medium. I mean, that went well, that did not go so well, or that is a bit beyond what I am supposed to do. But I'm not fazed by that. I mean, that's not going to make me stop and give up. It's that when many times at the beginning of our journey, it's ever so easy to get frustrated. And so many people decide to stop and give up because they're not good enough from the start. And that's fantasy. That's not how things work.
Yeah.
Even if I say, oh, such and such person is a genius musician or genius sportsman. Well, it's got the ability to tell him, but it still needs to practice.
Yeah, there's a book that says that how many hours it takes you to be an expert on something. It's like thousands of hours. So it's the exercise. We cannot underestimate the value of the exercise.
Yeah, and I think in this case, the expertise, if you say, is something that comes. You don't quite realize it. It happens, but it happens as a consequence, not as well. Oh well, now I'm an expert, and then there's nothing else to do. No, there's always everything to do. Always.
It's interesting. Look, as you were talking about that, it came to me. Again, it's a realization coming from working with groups. It is just a fact that for the people that manage, that they can maintain that frequency, the commitment that comes, the frequency that comes with the commitment of, every week at that time, and a week over again, and a week over again, and a week over again. And when I compare that with people that sometimes cannot commit to the same level, and then they end up coming every so often, or need to do a break or come back. And again, I'm not here judging anyone, by the way. We all know that people have their own lives and the priorities that come through. But you can see the mediums, when they are talking about their experience, they feel the difference. The difference when it is the recurrent practice is present, when it is not so recurrent. And the difference that they feel in the support during the messages and during that meeting, the difference between how the messages arrive, the type of a message that they receive, the type of experience that they have, the difference in how long in advance they start to perceive and feel the influence of the spirits that are going to give a message, and how much of that affects them in their day-to-day life.
Mm-hmm.
All of that comes from the fine-tuning that will be of that, the exercise, the recurrency, which is a consequence of the commitment and the discipline together.
Right. This also brought to memory something that we've talked about in previous Time to Talks sessions. And one of them is that, and I think I put myself in that situation, or I saw myself in that situation, in which I was there, I wanted to work, and I'll put myself here as I'm not talking about anybody else. But I wasn't sure of the quality of what I was doing, whether even if my presence there was worth for everybody else. But of course, my friends, everybody invited me and welcomed me, and so to help me learn. So of course, I would join the group to observe and learn with them, and learn to trust. Even when I had the biggest doubts, I was only one, but then I would have to learn to be humble enough and clever enough at the same time to listen to everybody else and listen to their views, to their impression and their advice. Yeah. So there was, I think, this resilience also implies in developing and willing to develop an ability to reflect on the things that we are told, and reflect on things with our friends, with the people we're working, because reflection is absolutely essential to put things into perspective, to assess where we started from, and if there are any trends where we're probably going to, or even spot a trend, spot something new that's happening in the group or in our different abilities to work as mediums. But that can only be put on the table and discussed if everyone is willing to reflect without feeling that anyone's being picked on, is being criticized for no reason. It's not a matter. We've got to forget this thing of this is criticism. Maybe some are being too critical. No. It's essential to be able to stop and reflect and see how each of the group feels and why. Are they all right? Are they not? So it's, instead of thinking, what are they thinking about me? Well, I want to know how they are. Are they okay? And they will ask me if I'm all right. So this thing of the selfish, the self as a central piece of our universe sort of disappears, sort of blends with the rest. It's part of the rest. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You brought another word, which was willingness.
Mm-hmm.
And I think in the end there's also there's a very important role that the intention plays in any journey, in any development journey. And I think especially when you're talking about mediumship, without what can I say? There needs to be a moment as a medium or as somebody who is working with mediumship in a mediumship group and so on, that you need to set yourself that goal very clear. And the goal is to help others. The goal is to work on myself. The goal is to commit my time and my energies to help others to a specific cause. Whatever that is, you need to aspire to something. And I'm going to be careful when I say that, because it's the aspiration in the end. I started the talk talking about the responsibility that mediumship brings for us to put to use to help others. So the aspiration that I'm talking about in the end needs to be connected to that, of course. Mm-hmm. But that aspiration, that goal, that idea is like a North Star. And I think it's important to have that clear so you can go back to that when things get more difficult and complicated. I think having that, look, it might not, the challenge, there's a challenge now, but my commitment and my vision is that I need to get to that. And what is that? That is to have this part of my life dedicated to helping others through mediumship.
Right. So you're saying that there is an understanding, under the underlying understanding of a set of established values. So it's not getting there in any way, whichever way.
Mm-hmm.
It's keeping those established values.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
It's interesting because it's, now that you say that, it's not even a destination, because you said it, there's always everything to do. So it isn't a destination in the sense of, oh, I achieved it, done, I can stop now. It's but it is it's self-development in the end, and it's a self-development without there isn't a limit to that, because if the destination is coming out of this life with the certainty that I dedicated time to help others, that's a destination that never arrives, right? Or when it arrives, it's because
how could I know? I can only guess. That's it. I can only guess, and I can only assess and measure the next few steps and see what's been done so far. But what is going to be the end result?
But it's bringing that element of purpose, which is so we don't even realize how valuable that is. And it is the commitment to developing your mediumship in the sense that you can help others. It's more than a goal, it's a purpose.
Yeah.
That drives your behavior, your life, your priorities, and etc. Your commitment, your discipline. I think that's the driving force for you to develop your resilience, is to sticking to that purpose that you need to have very clear in your mind.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah, it is. So yes.
Otherwise, it's easier to give up. You lose focus, you lose track, you lose sight.
Exactly.
And then something else takes over.
Because for those who might be with us and listening, one thing that we have plenty of in this path, in this journey, is doubt, self-doubt. There are times when we feel small, that we feel weak, that we feel out of our depth to do something, but it's this love for being able to do what we would like to do. Oh, but I like it so much. I really would like to do that. I really would like to be able to help, because when we manage to help, it feels great. There's a sense of purpose. I feel that I've achieved for that moment some purpose to my life. I know I may have to work hard for the next one, to another opportunity, but whenever the opportunity arises, then I want to be there. I want to be ready, because that's really worth living for.
Absolutely.
And then when everything seems to be going downhill, there's no wait. Let's see, what is the focus? What happened? How can I go around this? How can I rise above this and regain the course and move on?
Very good, Faye. Look, we are reaching the end. We're reaching the end, and I think if we can leave this today is that let's find the purpose, then let's find the goal, that make that clear in our minds, that will give us the drive to overcome the frustrations and the challenges that will come our way in our journey to develop our mediumship and to be involved with work. Because that is what will remind us, if you have that clear, that will remind us and get us back.
Mm-hmm.
I have a little message that I want to read. It's a small message.
Please.
It's from the book Christian Agenda by André Luiz and Chico Xavier. And I think it's a very nice one to summarize the topic. And it is called Personal Problems. And I will read for us. Living faith is not a transferable property. It is a personal conquest. Legitimate happiness is not merchandise that can be borrowed. It is an inner realization. Grace does not descend from heaven at random. It has to be earned. The best charity is not that which is done by substitutes. We must perform it ourselves. Moral strength is not the result of others pleading for us. It comes from our own efforts to take a stand on the side of goodness. Steadfast hope does not dwell firmly in our hearts by mere contagion. It is the offspring of higher understanding. Real love is not born from the shadows of desire. It is a crystalline and inexhaustible fountain of the eternal spirit. True knowledge is not the achievement but a few days. It is the work of time. Paradise will never be acquired by astute bargaining. It is attainable through our goodwill in avoiding the purgatory or hell of our own conscience. The protection received from the higher planes is an unquestionable fact for all of us who still move within the shadows. Woe to us, however, if we do not seek the blessings of enlightenment. That's it to cement our commitment. Yes. God give us strength. All right.
Yes.
Faye, thank you very, very much for today, for talking about this. Hopefully,
Thank you. Thank you very much.
this was a bit of an injection of, fuel also for me and my commitment, so I can keep going with that, a reminder. So I thank you for that and for this conversation.
My pleasure.
Thank you to everybody who joined us. It's been a pleasure. Let me quickly go to our announcements so we can say our goodbyes. Here they are. As usual, we have every Wednesday Spiritual Light with different topics and different guests. So stay tuned on the Buzz channel so you know what's coming tomorrow. And if you'd like to know more about mediumship, SSL has the Mediums book online course, the study group on Saturdays at 10:30 a.m. UK time. We have the details here. Feel free to join us. And that is it from me.
And that's it from me. That's it from us. Thank you all very much for the opportunity, and I hope it's been helpful, and I hope to see you all again pretty soon.
Ditto. Thank you, Faye. Thank you, everyone. See you in a couple of weeks. Bye-bye.
See you. Bye.